Board. So, what is going on, Busy Bariatrics? I'm so happy that you joined us here tonight. I know how important your time is and how much that we're going to go through. And if you've seen the ads, followed any of my content, listened to the podcast, I'm going to be covering a lot of the three keys to avoiding weight regain, building real muscle, and finally looking like you lift. And a lot of that is based on the idea of like, we don't want you eating 600 calories for the rest of your life or restarting every Monday. If you're here, you've had bariatric surgery, maybe you are on or considering a GLP-1, or you've had a GLP-1, or you're using a GLP-1 and you're like, maybe I need to change and adjust everything. So, with that in mind, what we're going to do tonight is kind of go through. I'll explain a little bit about myself, and then I'm going to give you the actionable items to make sure we have the most success. So, to give you an idea, we do have about 90 minutes worth of content. I will speak a little quickly so that we can get through everything. But I will be staying on, as will my lovely assistant, Stacy. Stacy will wave right now so everyone can see her camera. She will be fielding the chat if you have questions or DMing you if there's anything specifically. But the goal of tonight really is I want to give you the idea of how we build muscle in busy bariatrics and why the scale probably isn't the best data point. We're going to go over how we have gotten our clients to eat more as opposed to less and lose weight. And it is so cool because Stacy and I last night in group coaching, someone who actually was in this webinar 3 weeks ago and joined, we have gotten her to eat about, Stace, do you want to give the numbers and unmute yourself so that it
Um, we like she's already up like what 200 calories
two to four
more,
hundred
like two to four
calories,
hundred calories up, and she's dropped, what'd she say, 11 pounds?
11 pounds. Yeah.
11 pounds already? And
And
and she was amazed.
yeah, the coolest part of like how we go through this system and just to show that it works with everything, Nichelle is willing to share. Like I asked her, is it okay if I bring this up in the webinar? She's like, I hope more people hear this. She came to me binging every night, her words, where I think we all agree, where we try to starve and white knuckle every day by eating that sensible breakfast. Maybe we skip lunch or have a coffee, we get through a sensible dinner, and then late night comes and she was plowing through bagels. So um, that's why we do what we do and we try to get the information out. It works and it works relatively quickly. But the happiest part is Michelle has actually said, I get done dinner and I am full. And I go to bed full. And that's kind of the goal of what I want to teach you with the reverse restriction method. From the weekend proof calendar code, I'm going to show you how we have helped now hundreds of clients put their schedule and their lives together so that they can show up fitter, stronger, and more confident for the people they love in their life. So, like I said, next 90 minutes, I'm going to be giving you these three keys to stop living in fear of regain without living on 600-calorie meals or sitting there every Monday and saying diet starts Monday. If you're anything like me, August becomes the witching hour. I always joke that as a teacher by trade, every Monday feels like a Thursday. What's my phrase I use? Every May feels like a Thursday. Every June feels like a Friday. Every July feels like a day in Saturday. And every day in August kind of feels like Sunday scary. So if you're sitting there saying, like, well, I'll just get it together with my nutrition and fitness in September when the kids go back to school or when things settle down, drop a one so I know like this is resonating or that sounds like something you've probably said, because we have actually taught our clients how to kind of do that. So while we're getting the ones to come in, I want you to know that if any of this sounds familiar, you are not the problem. If people in your life have told you you just need more willpower, you need to understand it's not. It's a metabolism that's probably been suppressed for 18 months after bariatric surgery and just needs a fresh restart. Um, if you've been told that you need to cut your calories and walk more, well, if you're already eating under 1,200 calories, unless you're like 411, eating less is probably making the problem worse rather than it is better. If people are telling you you just need to get on a GLP-1 and you will be fine, bariatric surgery and GLP-1s work the exact same way. And as someone who is on a GLP-1 and has had bariatric surgery and has maintained their weight loss for over 5 years, prior to taking a GLP-1, I will tell you that if you just start a GLP-1 without doing the work, you will get the same result as prior. And a good example of that I can tell you is our client Darlene, who after she started a GLP-1 and really followed a lot of the keys I taught her in the webinar we did 2 weeks ago, is already down 11 pounds after not being able to get everything done. So if you've noticed, we get anywhere from 4 to 11 pounds off of clients just by simple tweaks as opposed to rehauling everything and helping you learn to build a lifestyle. If someone's told you you just need to be more disciplined, I feel like that's nails on a chalkboard. Almost everyone that I have met in their bariatric journey, especially when I'm talking to like women, you are mothers, you are professionals, you are people who know how to get deadlines done, you know how to get your kids off to school, you are disciplined in so many aspects of your life. Telling you it's a discipline problem is just a little dishonest and disingenuous, so much as it is, we need to give you the proper calendar and tools so that your discipline doesn't have to be the lead and that everything else can work with everything. So that's kind of where I want you to go. So if any of that fit, or you're like, Rob, get out of my head, it's because I know exactly where you've been and I want to help you get to where you are. So, just like we said, as someone who's had bariatric surgery and has been in this space for well over 6 years now, each one of these things I'm going to teach you is going to solve a specific problem that I have seen thousands of bariatric patients struggle with, whether it be online, in support groups, when we do in-person meetups, when I get invited to speak at hospitals and go over with our surgical programs. I hear the same thing over and over again. The main things that I see missing is not having a clear priority to build muscle after weight loss surgery, how to make sure that you are eating more as you get past your first year after bariatric surgery, and also how to stop the overwhelm in your life so that things are going well. So, when you are done this episode or this session, my goal is that I want you to be able to stop fearing the regain that creeps in at about 18 months post-op. I also want you to be able to build real muscle for the first time after surgery so that if you are looking to get on the beach towards the end of August, you do not have that roll that sticks out in the top of your swimsuit, or that when you bend over to pick something up on the beach, your legs look phenomenal to get that. So if those are some things that you want to walk away with, I'm going to give you the clear plan of how we start that, as well as how to eat more food without wrecking your results. So that if you're going on the beach, going on vacation, you don't have to constantly live and look over your shoulders and wonder, am I going to ruin my progress? Also, we're going to have you walk out of here knowing how to run your weekends with the same confidence as your Mondays. A phrase you're going to hear me say over and over again is we treat every day like Wednesday from a nutrition standpoint, and we get intentional about our choices so that when we do go out on vacation, or if we do go out to dinner with friends, we're ordering what we want as opposed to the salad that we all think we are morally obliged to get. So again, if you're like, who is this guy and why should I talk to them? Hi, that's me up on the screen. I'm Rob. I'm the founder of Busy Bariatrics. I have had bariatric surgery myself. I had vertical sleeve gastrectomy, and I have lost over 100 pounds and kept it off. The total amount of weight I have lost is I lost 50 by using a lot of these frameworks prior to bariatric surgery. And then after bariatric surgery, I just took off. Now that I am on a GLP-1, I will tell you I am following the exact same protocols that I am using through this system, and I've lost about 20 pounds in about 6 weeks. So to give you an idea, like the system works as long as you do. I am a NASM certified personal trainer and nutrition coach because in the world of the internet where everyone can say they're a coach, I actually believe you should have some sort of certification. And I have trained in both not just NASM, but Next Level Coaching Academy and under some of the top industry leaders in both bariatric surgery, menopause and gut health, and fat loss expertise. I've also coached over 100 clients myself, and my team has actually coached. My amazing coaches, Lisa and Kylie, have coached and another 100 themselves through the entire program. So not only do I have the experience, my team is both as experienced as well. And I'm the host of Bariatrics and GLP-1s for Busy People. It is a 5-star rated podcast in the bariatric community. So you can always go ahead and subscribe there. But this is me literally. You can still see my incision scars, that is the first time I stepped up after bariatric surgery, and that isn't even at my highest weight. That is me at my post-op weight. So I'd already lost 50 pounds and was about 315 here. Over on the right side is what I got down to about 3 years ago when I was at 210. Currently, I'm working off a little bit of regain after a very severely traumatic year. But we are also using the same techniques that I put my clients through to get back in track. And I say that because you need to understand it is not you. Life's to people. Things happen. Also, if you have not been given the clear keys to success, it is the idea that the formula that you have been handed worked until it did. And for so many of you, if you have just had bariatric surgery and your surgical center just sent you a binder and said, go with peace, I'll see you in 6 months, they don't really have an answer for what happens after the 6 months or how to get there, nor should they necessarily. Most bariatric surgery centers' job is to perform bariatric surgery and help you heal properly. They do not have a long-term plan for aftercare, and that is why I built the program that I have so that you can have the exact program and results that work for you. Again, these are not excuses as to why you were losing weight. They are physiology. And the right response to physiology, which is just a fancy word of this is how your system and your body works, is to put the right systems in place to build the body that you want to have. So, for an example, if you are 18 months post-op or 18 years post-op, and there's a range in here, which is awesome, telling you to eat 600 calories like you did at 3 months post-op is not going to cut it for you, and nor should it. We have to tailor a program that's going to meet your specific goals and needs and hit you where you're at. So, some things that you've probably also been told is like, if the scale isn't moving, you must be doing something wrong. If anyone has heard that, drop a one in the chat that someone has said, like, clearly you're doing it wrong. Or Becky in the Facebook group with the bad weave is the one who tells you, I eat 600 calories a day and I lose weight, or I could never eat that 12 months after post-op surgery. Becky is the worst person ever. And I personally fight her in almost every Facebook group I'm in, to the point that people invite me into other Facebook groups just to fight their Beckys. But Becky with the bad haircut really does not get it, because when you say, well, Becky, what should I do? Her answer is always, you just need to eat less and move more and try harder. And the problem is, I don't necessarily believe that's true, because I've had clients that have tried eating less and moving more, like Terrell, who you're going to hear about, who has 7 kids. And that clearly wasn't the problem with her. People have said try harder. I think of my client Ashley, who we got to overcome thyroid cancer and was still working on healing and doing a nutritional plan, and this worked for. Or the math is the math, where I look at my client Lindsay, who was working a high executive job at Deloitte and was planning for her wedding photo shoot and still wanted to get the results that they did. So I say all this to say that, like, every diet program, every dietitian who doesn't know bariatric surgery, and every Instagram coach pretty much tells you it's your fault if it is not working after bariatric surgery and you need to fix it. And the problem is, whenever I hear that from people, they never really have a clear answer of what they need to fix. And that's kind of why I do these webinars, is to help give you the plan that will work. So again, your body's not broken. It adapted to a formula that was built for year 1, not for year 5. And even though this program works amazingly for clients in their first year, where we really thrive is when we have clients all the time coming saying, hey, I think I'm done losing weight, or I think I have everything done, I just need to touch it up. That's what Stacy said when I started working with her 3 years ago. Like, I have it pretty much perfect. I just need a few pointers and a few other things. And what I found was, yes, a lot of times we are there, but there is still money on the table that we can absolutely help you hit and reach to a longer goal, so that the system I teach you, no matter where you're at in bariatric surgery, will work 5 months after you're working with me or 5 years after you're working with me. And that's the goal of what I want, is to teach and educate so you feel safe to do this. So there's 3 things that change once you accept this. First is, once you realize that this system is not like the system is broken and it's not you, it's that you need to understand that you need to stop fighting your body. Eating less is not going to solve your problem. Your metabolism is extremely suppressed because of how it was treated, not because of how you have failed. The next goal is we want you to rebuild what you lost. So now that you've accepted this and you understand you can't stop fighting your body, you kind of have to rebuild. Once you find out that like the system is broken, you're really stuck at two options. One is you can keep running the system and be like, I have to accept that it's broken and the results I get are what they are, or you can fix the system and change your life. So the muscle that probably disappeared on you in year one is exactly what you're going to need to keep the weight off in year five. And something that I have taught and that I will die on this hill, and I have fought people at even speaking engagements, is that muscle building and rebuilding muscle strength is the most non-negotiable part of your bariatric surgery. And then always Becky from the Facebook group who made her vacation to come to a speaking engagement and really just talk to each speaker about how she has the perfect plan, even though she's still binging and restricting every weekend and doesn't understand why she has to start fresh every Monday, says, no, I just need to cut out carbs and do cardio and completely just dial in and I'll lose the weight like I did. And I have to explain to Becky, like, you are overwhelmed because your calendar is run amok. You are not doing anything other than like renting your results because you are living on a treadmill. And if you only learned how to eat foods properly as opposed to trying to eat like a toddler again, you're going to be able to live the life that you want. And then Becky sits down, and I see her at the next conference or she's in the next Facebook group saying the same thing, binging and restricting the same way, and getting the exact same results. Whereas people who kind of start to run this system start to message me all the time and say, Rob, I found out what works for me and how to get it to work. So let's go for an example because I am a teacher by day. And I am someone who's like, look, I can tell you all about the results I have, but sometimes it's easier to just show you the people who have gotten the results. And the first person that I worked with, or one of the many people that I want to share about, is Terrell. Terrell is a mom of seven. No, that is not a typo. She has lost over 130 pounds. We have to update this because we helped her get through her 18-month stall. But she is down 130 pounds and has kept it off. When we started, this is where I say, like, Terrell is the example. It's not a willpower or discipline issue. She was already up at 5 a.m. every day. She has to cook 3 meals a day because she is a stay-at-home, uh, mom for 9 people in her household. And she was stuck in regain. She was trying every diet, she was trying every meal plan, every app, and nothing was working. Terrell's exact words were that she didn't need more willpower. She needed a plan that actually worked with her actual life as opposed to against it. And what we did is, after bariatric surgery, I explained to Terrell that we have to change the plan and find a result that's going to work for her. And we helped her lose over 100 pounds off of this. This is where I always get mad because where Becky from the Facebook groups are pretty terrible. The worst are when you go on Instagram and some bro or I hate to say it, but like it's always this young influencer coach who never has a shirt on, male or female. They're either in their sports bra or doing their photos shirtless. Will tell you like we all have the same 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week. It's what you use for it. And the problem is like, yes, that might work in my 20s when my weekends were filled of I just have to like cut out 2 happy hours a week and that'll get me to lose 30 pounds. It does not handle if I'm caring for elderly relatives or for children or I have a full-time career that demands for me. So the example I always give is like, look, Terrell has 7 kids. She has a household of 9 total with her and her husband, and this system works for her. It's the same system I use as someone who works 2 full-time jobs, is teaching during the day, coaching a full-time business during the night, and still is helping raise 2 young, amazing women himself. So again, you're like, okay, Rob, you pulled one rabbit out of the hat. That's like everyone has one person who's successful in the program. And I'm like, yeah, I get that, but like I also like 3 because I'm a huge De La Soul fan. And if you are too, you know that 3 is the magic number. And yes, it is. So here are 3 more examples that we're going to talk about. Some of you are smiling, and I know you know what I'm talking about. If not, Google it. I put out references the whole way through here, and it's like Easter eggs for your journey. But again, again, talked about Ashley a bit. She came to me in her 40s. She dropped 30 minutes off her half marathon time and body comped properly, while only losing about 5 pounds on the scale. So if you're sitting here saying, Rob, why am I not losing more weight? The answer is yes, but the best answer I can give you, Ashley got faster, stronger. She wore the black dress that she wanted to at a formal event and said in person when I saw her, my arms have never looked this good and I have never felt this good. And that's where we really get the wins of body composition is having that perfect hourglass figure that fills out a dress. Or if you're like Lindsay, she was in her 30s when she came to me. She lost 27 pounds through a trip to Florida, New Orleans, and Paris, plus a major job change while she was preparing for her wedding. So, yes, this is not a typo. You can actually listen to her story on the podcast. She came to me 9 months before her wedding and said she wanted to crush her honeymoon. And through that, she also, after I signed her, she did the same thing every other client says, like, oh, by the way, I forgot to also mention I'm going to be unavailable for December because I'm moving to Florida. So I need a plan that works for me when I'm at my parents' house for a month. Also, it was the first time that the Washington Commanders made the playoffs in her lifetime. So she was going to be going to all the home games. And the only thing she was upset about during that process is I'm an Eagles fan and we knocked them out from going to the Super Bowl. She wasn't bitter about that, but she also had a trip to New Orleans for a week and 2 weeks in Paris while getting understood that she got poached for her job. Good time to change, but her whole career got a promotion. And we were still able to run this system and get 30 pounds down. The best thing she did was send me this picture of her on her honeymoon where she flat out told me, Rob, I enjoyed every meal on every trip. And I also got the photos that I am able to show all my girlfriends in a bikini, and more importantly, walk on the beach during my honeymoon with my husband. And that's kind of what I like to do is I like to make people's visions become realities. Finally, I know I mentioned her briefly, my assistant coach, Lisa, who is also a client of mine. She came to me and she lost a total of 146 pounds while going through menopause by restructuring around muscle first training and more food, not less. She will tell you when she came to me, she was like, I'm pretty sure I'm done losing weight because she had lost 80 pounds. And then on top of that, she was like, I really like Pilates. I'm willing to work hard and do this 5 days a week. So I got the Pilates girly who was stuck at only 80 pounds lost, and we got her to 146. Again, for those of you scoring at home, 160, like now doing bad math, 60 pounds fully fallen off her from working with me after saying, I'm done losing weight. It's a recurring theme of what I do in my coaching and what my coaches do for our clients is this idea of when you think you're stuck, this is exactly when you need someone to come in and look at it and follow this system that we had. Lisa now is eating more. She is a NASM certified personal trainer with us and in person and has been able to deliver the same amazing results to so many of our clients. So this is where I kind of have to dunk and sound like a little bit of a jerk, but if you get to hear me, you'll understand why. They're not really that special of people. Like, they're not exceptional. They're fairly ordinary people. They had the right formula applied in the right sequence for the body that they have right now. And that's what my goal is to show you through this process is that each and every one of you that is on this call is capable and able to run this yourselves or with us. So, the first thing we got to do is we have to build muscle. So if you're still with me and you kind of want to do this, do me a favor, either like drop a one, give a thumbs up if you're muted. I'm going to take a sip of water because I've been talking now for half an hour. Awesome. Love it. So let's dive in and get to it. First thing we're going to look at when we look at muscle building is I'm going to give you the core insight that most post-op women are missing. I'm also going to explain why Becky from Facebook is kind of a moron because walking more is actually going to burn the muscle you need the most unless you're putting it around the right program. I'm also going to give you the three components in the order that we need: compound training, progressive overload, and recovery. And if you don't know what those words mean, trust me, I'm going to break it all down and we'll be good. Then again, I'm going to go to Lisa because Lisa is the best example of going from a 5 day a week Pilates girly to starting her own Squat Your Spouse club where she is able to lift the weight of her 6'4" boyfriend, Jeff, which last I checked, I don't want to put Jeff's weight out there, but I will say is 6'4". He's over 250. And Lisa puts up solid numbers in the gym while looking absolutely HR friendly, phenomenal, where she does not look bulky at all. So I know what you're saying, and I know what every one of you thinks is, Rob, I don't want to put on muscle. I don't want to look bulky. I just want to get toned. And you need to understand, like, muscle is not the goal for some of you. Muscle is the goal for all of you. I totally get that you do not want to get bulky because bodybuilders get bulky. Bodybuilders get bulky because they eat an obscene amount of money, take an obscene amount of steroids, and live in the gym. My goal for you is to get you that toned, sculpted body that you keep wanting in every photo shoot picture that you take. When you're at a wedding and you're standing and you're propping your arm up because you want it to look strong and confident, we want to put the muscle there. When you're in that picture on the beach, we want to make sure that you are wearing the swimsuit that you deserve and having the confidence to have it because your physique has come in. We want your shoulders to look defined so that that strapless dress looks absolutely amazing. And we want the hourglass figure to come in on it as well so that you are turning heads when you are walking across and getting all the most amazing wedding hors d'oeuvres possible, while also not worrying if this last lamb chop or this last glass of Pinot Grigio is going to be the reason your diet derails. That's the lifestyle I want to teach you. And the way to do it is through building muscle. I always explain it like when we go back to Becky, who's like, I just need to do more cardio or join at her Orange Theory Burn Blast camp. She's like, oh, I just need to sweat it off and it's going to work. And the example I give is like, yes, you can sweat off and burn calories, but it's also the idea of like if you were driving for Uber, and as someone who used to drive for Uber to make ends meet, I will tell you, yes, you are making money, but you are exchanging time for calories burned, meaning you pretty much have to strap yourself into a treadmill and sprint and recover and do that over and over again to get minimal effect. Building muscle is kind of like depositing into your 401k or your retirement account. It is the unsexiest bill payment you make every paycheck. And you're like, God, I don't see any results. I don't know what's happening. I still feel broke. And then after 30 years or so, when you have seven figures in the bank account, you're like, oh, this is everything I've dreamed for. I can finally retire to someplace warmer than New Jersey in the wintertime. And ultimately, that's what I want for all of you is to be able to do the slow, unsexy work to build the sexy lifestyle that everyone deserves after bariatric surgery. So, like I said, strength is the metric, not the scale. Becky in that Facebook group, who I keep dunking on because she's an easy target, and I see her in like when I shut my eyes for a nap, she shows up on the back of my eyelids. But she's the one who tells you, walk more, you just need to track more. She's going to give you some horrible advice like, look, you need 60 grams of protein. And if that isn't enough, you just need to go up to 80. And I sit there, and the reason I have no hair on these peaks is because I've pulled it out from listening to her so many times. Because she's then going to top it off and say, you just need to do more cardio because lifting's going to make you bulky. And the problem with Becky's playbook is you're going to be so starved that after you get off that treadmill that you just almost had a heart attack on, you're going to eat through the table. And even if you burned 300 calories, on that workout, you're going to spend about 750 when you see the Reese cups at your table because you're so restricted. That's why we teach what we do. By giving you a clear plan of here's how you lift 3 days a week, how we make sure that you are tracking your workouts and then just working on improving one or two lifts each week so you get stronger over time. And then really making sure that you recover because your muscles actually build when you give them days off. Just like if you worked 7 days a week, you eventually would like burn out and not be able to work. Your muscles work the same way. So again, Strength is the metric that we teach because that is what gives the body comp that Ashley, Lindsay, Taryn, Stacy, Lisa, Nichelle. I could keep going and run a rampant list of people who we have gotten to lift heavy, and none of them have gotten bulky. I will say though, they are thrilled to death whenever they get into their formal wear or their work outfit, or they just go to a cocktail party on a Friday and they can have 2 glasses of Pinot Grigio, the picky appetizer that they love, and they know that they're not going to spiral all weekend. So again, what's compound training and why do you got to do it 3 days a week? It's training the big movements. Compound means you're working multiple muscles at once. And the ones that we want to think about is a squat pattern, which is some form of a squat where you go down either with dumbbells or a barbell. A hinge pattern, so think of like a deadlift or something where you're bending over and working your lower back, or a push pull. So that's going to be your chests, your triceps in the front, and your backs and your lats and delts on the back. We want you to do this about 3 days a week and no more than 45 to 60 minutes. Non negotiable. No more, no less. Can you get away with 2 during reasons and seasons of your life? Absolutely. It's better than nothing. But 3 is where we found the sweet spot where people are fully balanced. Most post-op women are doing zero lifting, or they are doing 90-minute bro splits that they cannot sustain, or they are going to their boxing class, their burn blast class, and the coach is saying we are doing a strength builder where they're working 7-pound dumbbells for sets of 10 to 12. And although it's great cardio work, it's not going to build the muscle that actually gives them their look. And the example I give is when everyone says, well, I look at CrossFit and I look at High Rocks athletes and they all do the same thing. They rip their shirt off and their six pack has six packs and their sports bra looks like it's filled out by every toned muscle rippling through their body. And I'm like, yeah, because they do CrossFit or High Rocks as their cardio. And what they don't tell you is Ryan Fish, who's like probably one of the best examples, or Dallas Pagel for CrossFits, they are still compound lifting 2 to 3 days a week on top of CrossFit, which gives them the body that they want. Unfortunately, that doesn't make it look sexy on Instagram. So them pushing a boulder up a hill or like doing backflips into burpees is probably going to get more views. So that's what they put on. So anyway, we get you to do this 3 days a week. If you skip the lifting and specifically the compound lifts, you're really not progressing your training to build muscle. And that's why, like, when people aren't doing this in the gym on a Claire program, it's why the same people you see in the gym year after year look the exact same way, no matter what they're doing, even though they're drenched in sweat 3 days a week. That's what I'm trying to show you. The next part is progressive overload. So, when you're doing progressive overload on a tracked log, you're going to write down what you actually did in the gym so that you are not doing the same weights every day. You are doing heavier weights each time. The idea is like by measuring your progress, you know exactly where to start. For an example, I'm raising my arms and I'm doing this solely because I am happy of my physique, but also on this side, I have torn all the ligaments in my shoulder from playing football in high school. And on this side, I tore my rotator cuff. I still follow this exact same system to get stronger because I can eventually, by doing this system, heal better, move stronger, and lift all the weights that we need. But what we teach you is by logging in a notebook and then going back and doing the same exact exercises the next week, you just need to get better. So if you're like, Rob, how do I visualize this? It's a Thursday. Say your Thursday lift says you're going to do bicep curls at 3 sets of 10 repetitions at 20 pounds. If you get all 10 on the first set of 20, do 25 the next one. If you get all 10 on 25 on the next one, move on to the following one. If you get on to the third set and you get all 10, move up to 35. That's why people look the way they do in the gym and don't get the results is they're not progressing their weights and getting into a range that's challenging the muscle. So again, all you need is a notebook, keep track of what you're doing and put them in, and then just set the goal of, look, I'm either going to get more reps or lift heavier each week until I get my muscles to pure failure. So again, it's like, okay, Rob, well, if I do this 3 days a week, wouldn't doing it 7 days a week be like 2 1/3 times better? And the answer is, yeah, that's like basic math, but it doesn't really work that way when we add science. Lifting heavy without recovering is just slowly setting you up to tear ligaments, to get injured, and to be overtrained. You really need about 2 full off days, a walk only day, and a sleep target that actually works to help you recover. Can you lift 5 days a week? You absolutely can. But if you're doing that, I would also recommend then that you need to be getting at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep to help with your recovery process. It's not optional. And the condition is what actually makes the training land. So we put all that together, it's going to land perfectly. So again, here's the example from plateau to squatting body weight for reps. At our first conversation, Lisa was walking about 5 miles a day. She was eating under 1,000 calories, and she was convinced she was done losing weight. Her body had no reason to let go of any more of that weight. It's because it was already running on fumes. What we changed is we pulled her cardio back. We went 3 days a week of compound lifts. We started logging her sessions and her workouts. And after a while, she got the result that she actually wanted because the order of operations got fixed. Now she coaches other clients and is still getting amazing results for our new clients coming in as the person who does all the training. Again, she's lost over a total of 146 pounds and she squatted over her partner's body weight for reps. So, everyone have a clear understanding of what we need to do for lifting? Thumbs up, yes, no, save questions for the end if we're still there. And gang, I know it's a lot. So if you're taking notes, keep up. We'll do questions at the end. You'll also get a recording at the end of this. So my goal is just for you to listen, jot your questions down, and we'll answer them at the end. So let's get into the diet because this is probably the best part where people are like, okay, Rob, I know I'm doing this perfectly. It must be my metabolism or something else. And this is where I go, you haven't worked with me yet. So again, when we think of a metabolism, we want to think of it like a thermostat. If you starve your thermostat, it's going to shut off. If you feed it gas or whatever you use for your thermostat, it's going to continue to run and burn off more stuff. Think of a wood burning stove or a fire as well. Um, if you don't have new wood to put on the fire, it goes out. If you put too much wood on the fire, it actually goes out as well because it's suffocated and it doesn't have time to breathe. Our goal is to get you so that you're slowly breathing and getting all of it. If you are sitting here and you are eating under 1,200 calories a day, or you are on a GLP-1 and you are accidentally eating under 800, we have worked with both of those people. You're probably wondering why you're exhausted, you're cranky, you're irritable, and you cannot move anywhere. And the answer is it's because like your body doesn't have enough calories to operate in the system that works. And after 18 months, eating too much is not necessarily your problem either. Your body essentially thinks winter is coming because you've spent the last year and a half telling it winter is coming. So the best way we have to do this is we have to feed your body and let it know that it is safe to burn calories. Because the problem is if you are eating about 800 to 1,200 calories and you are anywhere over like 5'2", which most average females are. If you're over 5'2" and eating under those amounts, problem is your body is not really burning the resources it has. It says, look, I could use these carbs normally that we would turn into glycogen to help fuel this workout, but I don't know when my next carb source is coming. So I'm going to hold on to it for dear life. I'm going to convert it to sugar, which then converts to fat, which then goes into our fat cells and causes us to expand a little bit more because we don't know where it's coming. When your body is eating enough and feeling enough and restoring enough, it says, hey, we can burn these calories because I know new ones are coming. So we got to teach you how to eat it on purpose. So again, every other voice is going to assume that you're eating too much. None of them have actually looked at your tracker and what it does. So again, Becky from Facebook, she's going to tell you to cut more calories. She's going to tell you that carbs are the devil, even though she goes back into her office and she binges on Reese cups, which, surprise, surprise, are really just a combination of carbohydrates and fats that make sugar. And I love Reese cups, so I can say it with love. She's going to tell you to get on a GLP-1, that all you have to do is eat less. And I've seen plenty of clients and patients that get on a GLP-1, do not change their habits, patterns, or behaviors, or prime their metabolism properly, and it ends up having more of a backfiring. The other part is they start this idea that they need to earn their food with cardio. This idea of like, oh man, I just got done burn blast orange theory, and I just burned my splat blat calendar that they had up on the big board said I burned over 2,000 calories, which means I can eat three more cheeseburgers. And the problem is like, you're not a dog. You don't earn your food. You shouldn't be having to get a treat for doing basic functions like sit, stop, fetch, play, or do your job. And that's why we teach the reverse restriction method. What we work on, and this is where Nichelle has thrived in the last 3 weeks with us, we teach you how to hit your protein floor first and get really good at just hitting your protein goal. Then we strategically add about 100 calories per week to make sure that we get it all together. And then we're going to move our carbs around our training point. So we're going to make sure that about 40% or 30% of our carbs are before our workout. 30% of our carbs come after our workout. And then the other 40% are sprinkled throughout the day on foods that we love and enjoy. When you do that and your body knows that it can eat everything in proper moderation, you get out of that binge and restrict lifestyle that so many of us get hung up on. Once you start to trust your body, you start trusting your relationship with food. And once you trust your relationship with food, your cravings are going to drop. When you get more food, your workouts are going to feel better. When your workouts feel better, you're going to be able to lift heavier. When you lift heavier, you're going to build more muscle. When you build more muscle, you're going to be able to burn more calories. When you burn more calories, you're going to be able to eat more. And then the cycle starts again. Because you can eat more, you're going to have a better relationship with food. When you have a better relationship with food, you will not you will have better workouts. When the workouts get better, you get stronger. See how all three of these like build this cycle that continuously helps build the lifestyle that you want? The goal is to get you to eat more, move less, build muscle, and build a lifestyle that you are proud of. So, we're going to talk about protein first, which is what almost every surgery center tells you. But then we're also going to talk about hitting your protein floor and learning what your protein ceiling is. So, most surgery centers and most Becky's in your Facebook group are going to tell you 60 to 80, right? Like that's what we always hear. You just 60 grams of protein, 80 grams of protein. If you hit 60 to 80 grams of protein, you're going to be perfect. And the problem is like, yes, if you're getting 40 grams of protein, 60 is better than 40. But for most people, if you are 220 pounds and 5'11, that number does not scratch the surface. So the baseline we teach our clients is to get 1 gram of protein per pound of goal body weight, meaning that if we calculated your ideal body weight, so for me as a 5'11 man, and yes, I wish I was 6 foot, but I'm not, but as a 5'11 man, I'm supposed to be getting 187 grams of protein because that should be about my ideal body weight. Now, if I'm only hitting 60 grams of protein, I'm hitting only a third of what I need. Even at 80, I'm only hitting less than half. And that's where most women come to us, where they're actually hitting probably less than half of what their number is and wondering why they are gaining, binging, and restricting and having all this problem. So we set it to 1 gram of protein per pound of goal body weight. That's going to be your floor. Just like 3 lifts a day is non negotiable, you got to hit a protein goal of probably close to 130 to 150 based on your height and weight that we figure it out. If you're under 60 grams of muscle and being like, why am I not more ripped? That's probably why. And the ceiling is roughly 1.2 grams per pound, meaning that like you can't just out protein your way to a perfect diet and shove protein in everything. It's the idea of like after like 1.2 grams per pound of ideal body weight, which for me would put me at about 215. If I'm hitting over 200 grams of protein, I'm just really wasting it. And it's going into glycogen, which then is really an expensive carb. So, what we do is we reverse the calorie trend, but we got to do it slowly. If you're eating 1,100 calories a day and we jump you to 2,000, which is what your favorite fitness influencer is going to tell you to do, your body is going to shut down and say, this is too much food. Stop eating. And also, we're not going to convert any of this. So we kind of have to prime it. And how we prime it is we gently bump about 100 calories a week after you hit your protein floor. And then based on what we see, we start fine tuning it based on your food sources so that it builds muscle and stabilizes your blood sugar. About within 8 to 12 weeks, which is Nichelle's a little early on this number, but following this system, she's going to be eating about 600 more calories than when she came into the program with us. And that is really the goal is Nichelle is losing weight. She is eating more of the foods that she loves. She does not feel restricted, and she is having the best lifestyle ever. Also, she is a hairdresser, so she has to be on her feet for 3 days a week for about 12 hours a day and does not have time to go to the gym every day. So when we put all this together, it works properly. You can absolutely do this at home and try it yourself. The advice I would give if you were doing this solo: calculate how many calories you're averaging for 2 weeks, because that's what we do with our clients. We take 2 weeks worth of data. Then we figure out the average and we tell you start to just eat that with your protein base, meaning like, here's your protein base. Try to just hit that amount of calories with your base. And then slowly we increase your calories to go with it. You can do it. You can check the data and then just keep weighing in regularly and we adjust accordingly. Next part is like everyone's going to tell you carbs are evil, and I'm going to tell you as an Italian who works with people from all walks of life. Like, I love my pasta. My clients love their red beans and rice. They like having all of the amazing carbs that so many cultural meals have. And the reason so many cultures incorporate carbs is one, from if you go all the way back, they're more cost effective and easier to acquire than meats. But two, they're delicious. Have you ever had pasta or rice? It's amazing. So it's like telling you not to eat it is going to be a major no-no. We figure out how to make it work. You kind of earn carbs in the sense of the more you build muscle, the more you need to feed it proper glycogen sources, and you have to feed it through your metabolism. And we're going to do that by giving you rice, potatoes, fruit, and putting it around the lift itself. We're also going to make sure that those go in pre and post lift. And then on non training days, we're going to pull the carbs back a little bit and keep the protein and fiber sources steady so that that alone should regulate your blood sugar and keep you fuller for longer so that you're eliminating about 80% of the 8 p.m. pantry rates. The more that you put the carbs around training and put protein and fiber around the rest, the more we've been able to get people's cravings to disappear. And when we're hitting our protein, stabilizing our calories, and layering our carbs, you have all that together in one safe and easy place, and you are feeling phenomenal. So again, let's go back to Ashley because Ashley was probably one of my most stubborn clients. I love her, but I also will tell you she is stubborner than most people I know. When she came to me, she was eating 1,200 calories, and Ashley is 5'10". And I mentioned that because she is taller, but also that I am 1 inch taller than her. So when I see her in person, it's why she wears 3 inch heels. Anywho, neither here nor there, but she was eating 1,200 calories and gaining weight. On paper, shouldn't have been possible. Her schedule was completely wrecked and overwhelmed between school schedules, working a high end career, and everything else. Her hormones were absolutely wrecked because of the thyroid medication she went on, because of receiving cancer treatments. And essentially, from her surgical team to her oncology team, pretty much told her she just needs to eat less and walk more. Which, if you were going through cancer treatments and being told you need to walk more in the Arizona sun or even just de-stress, ain't gonna work. So what we did is we strategically started moving her calories from 1,200 to 1,800 over 8 weeks. And she was constantly yelling at me that like carbs are going to kill her. They're the enemy. I'm going to gain weight if I eat carbs. And I was like, Ash, can you just listen to me? We upped the protein floor first. Then we put the carbs around the training. Then we got a 3 day lifting rhythm in so that she could even work it around her chemo treatments. Not only did she drop 30 minutes off her half marathon time, her body comp absolutely changed incredibly, and she was eating more than 600 calories a day by the time we were done with it. So, again, from 1,200 calories all the way up to 1,800 calories, faster and stronger, with a body that then could wear formal wear in a way that she wanted. Coolest part of Ash's story is we taught her to learn to love and trust carbs again, and she currently owns her own sourdough baking company where she makes sourdough and scones and all of these amazing carbs. So now that we have an idea of what to do with nutrition, are you still with me? I'm so happy to see so many still on the call. Like, We feel like we have lifting, we have muscle. This is where I take a water break, put a one, toss some thumbs up if you're watching the video, some sign of life that you are still here with me. Love the heart, Jessica. Always makes me feel good. Thumbs up all around. I love Dana, Nancy, Linda, Shannon. Love it. Good. So, again, we got you the meal plans, we got you all the other work. We got everything. Big thing I hear then is, Rob, how do you expect me to fit this in as either a busy working mom, working a full-time career, getting everything else done, and getting everything done? And the answer is like, I don't. My goal and where our team's goal is, we want you to have a calendar that reflects your priorities so we can actually build it around what you need to do. Every time that you get the calendar completely locked in and ready to go, allows you to get very strategic of when you can do things, but also how to communicate to other people to stop saying yes to everything on your calendar, which is easier said than done. But we also teach our clients through role play and exercise activities of how to have that conversation with your loved ones, how to put healthy boundaries that your fitness is important, and having the discussion with everything that we want. So, what we're going to do is go over why listen to your body fails most post-op women on Saturday morning. We're going to go over what a calendar negotiates that willpower cannot, and we're going to go over the three components that cause the Sunday reset to work. And again, we're going to go to Terrell because her calendar is one of the most ridiculous I have ever seen. So again, like the best tool I've ever learned and worked and gotten clients to thrive on is their calendar. More than a workout plan, more than a nutrition plan, more than some detox tea or some sunlight patch that you put on or some rabbit food packet that you order 3 boxes of over the weekend. You know the one I'm talking to if you all have gone and scrolled down the rabbit hole. I've seen it all. The best tool for weight loss is going to be your calendar. Show me what gets your time and attention, and I will show you what your priorities are. This is usually where most people fight me the hardest because they do not like that mirror being held up to themselves, but it's also where we have the most powerful breakthrough. And this might feel familiar to you. If you are that person who preps out all their meals on Sunday night, gets everything ready, goes to bed saying diet and workout start Monday, I'm going to wake up early, and you even crush through Thursday morning, and then you get somewhere around Friday night when either your friends say, let's go to happy hour and the mozzarella sticks come onto the table, or you get into the car and you pick up your kids and it's, we want pizza for dinner, and you really don't want to have a order of chicken, broccoli, and a can of diet air after a long week of work, or you have some social function like a wedding or a friend's family party that you're going to, that all of a sudden the chips and dip that are out on the table cause your food noise to scream through the roof and that you cannot control yourself. The reason you're doing that is because the calendar you built for Monday through Thursday goes out the window on the weekends. It's the same thing when you look at it. You have all these structures in place. You have your kids' pickup times, you have appointments, you have obligations, and then it's painfully white from like Friday night to Sunday morning or afternoon. And you know what I'm talking about. You say, like, well, I don't want to plan anything. I want to keep it open. I like the idea of not being on a schedule. And it's the same reason why it's 11 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. You haven't gotten your workout done. Your kids have ordered want pancakes. And now you're like, I'll just have pancakes with them. And that leads into like your girlfriends, or you get done Little League softball and everyone's going out for wine and drinks. And you're like, well, let me go do that. Or the cooler opens at the T-ball game and everyone else is having a beverage. Why can't I? If this sounds familiar on your weekend, just know that I get it because as a parent myself, I see it too and I have to live it. And the kids screaming for Chipotle after a day of dance competitions, it sounds good to me too. But because we don't have a clear plan of the calendar, we can't really get everything and we have to get that dialed in. So you need to understand a calendar isn't going to negotiate with you at 9 p.m. on a Friday after 2 glasses of wine. That's usually when the pantry is mysteriously open in our house. And that's usually like for me, where I'm like, I haven't needed Doritos all Thursday, but let me make sure they haven't changed the flavor of the brand and the bag's open in the pantry and I can see it. I'm sure if I have a handful, I could have it. And then that handful becomes like, well, I've already had some. I should probably work myself up to a serving. Oops, it's 11 chips and I just had my 13th. I might as well have two servings because I have it. And that 400-calorie swing of the two servings of Doritos that you were having while you were thinking if the pantry should be open is exactly where you're like, oh my goodness, I don't think I want to do this anymore. The bigger issue is so many people on the internet and in groups will tell you, like, well, Becky, you just need to listen to your body. And if you practice balance, you'll be good. Or if you give yourself space and grace, you'll be fine. Or if you just get through Saturday, Sunday will be better. And the problem is, your body's been screaming for dominoes since you shut the laptop on Friday around 4 p.m. and realized I want something to soothe a tough, emotionally draining week. So, what we teach you is how to put a Saturday morning training day in place, how a Sunday dinner is a planned meal and a time for genuine human connection with the people that you love, and that Friday pizza we are not taking away. We are leaning in and making a plan that allows you to have Friday pizza and even 2 to 3 glasses of wine every Friday so that you don't feel like you can never have wine again, you can never have pizza again. The Italian in me would quick probably sign off if I was told I couldn't do that right now. So the idea is we make your week one unbroken unit. And when we make your week an unbroken unit, we turn your body into an absolute unit. And that is the goal. The calendar is going to absorb all the chaos before it happens, and it's going to allow you to tell people that you do not have the capacity or bandwidth to put another thing on the calendar and that we have to wait till it opens up. So, how are we going to do this? Every Sunday evening, you're going to lay out the non negotiables for the week. You're going to put 3 training sessions in place. You're going to put 5 protein first meals a day. We're going to put in a sleep target. We're going to put 2 social events on your weekend as well, so that you don't feel like you have to live in the gym or be a monk. We're going to write it on one page. And if it doesn't fit on one page, the week is lying to you. So many times I hear from clients like, well, it didn't get to me because I had to do this, I had to do that, I had to do that. I'm like, well, why did you commit to things that didn't have you? It's like, well, I felt bad if I couldn't do it. Well, something as simple as like, look, I need a week's notice to help doesn't mean you can't help any less. It means you need to put boundaries in place with everyone else so you can show up for yourself. And that is easy to say from someone in their basement. It's harder to do unless you're role playing and practicing all of this. So the practice is we want to put 3 trainings in place. We want to do 5 meals and we want 1 sleep target. We also want 2 social events so that all of that gets put onto the page. The reason why this matters is the layout is what tells the week what it is before it starts. If you are just reacting to your calendar, you are going to get reactionary results. When you make your calendar work for you, it is going to sing and hum in a way that lets you drive your results to places you could never even imagine. And again, this is going to help with the decision elimination list. You decide what you're eating Saturday breakfast before Saturday morning even exists. You decide what's happening after Sunday dinner before Sunday dinner exists. Every decision you eliminate in advance is one less moment where your exhausted Friday night brain gets to vote. And I am someone who says, look, I'm not opposed to having pancakes every Friday or Saturday morning. But if I know I'm having pancakes Saturday morning, I want to make sure that I'm using those carbs to fuel a good lift afterwards and that I can get to where I need to go. The idea is that, like, when you decide your Saturday breakfast on Wednesday and you decide your Sunday dinner on Friday, it gives you the freedom to think about everything else that you want to, which is the new episodes of your shows, the connection with the person you're going out to dinner with, all of that good stuff. The problem is, Friday night brain is the worst brain you could possibly have, and we know this. I am an Italian. There is no way I want Domino's. I live in New Jersey. I have 52 pizza places down the street that are good, but at 10 o'clock at night on Friday, when all of them are closed, and I finally realize that nothing's going to scratch the itch for pizza, that's when Domino's gets ordered. My job is to eliminate the Domino's from your life and to make you enjoy having pizza at a moderate hour so that you can do all the things you always imagined you could do after bariatric surgery. So again, we need that Sunday reset window. That's taking some time on Sunday afternoon every week to reset. You look at what worked, you look at what didn't, and what got moved and what got skipped, and you have an honest conversation with yourself of why these things got moved. You're going to make one adjustment for next week, not 10, just one. The reset's what's going to keep the system alive instead of letting it become another program you restart on Monday. Pretty much, you're going to take 30 minutes on Sunday and then one adjustment for the week ahead. You never want 10, we're just going to make one. And you're like, but Rob, if I make 10 adjustments, it'll be better than one adjustment. And the thing is, like, yes, I get it, but if you work or you're around my system enough, you'll know that more is not better, better is better. So the idea of like making 10 adjustments means you're throwing out the idea that structure is important. We teach you from a behavior change standpoint how to make the right adjustments for the right time to get the results that you want. So again, you look at Terrell, 7 kids, one calendar, over 150 pounds lost. When we started, she had tried every diet, every meal plan, every app. What she had never had was a calendar that treated her life like the actual beast that it was. What we changed is we put her on a 1 page calendar layout with 3 35-minute training windows, 5 meals that she knew that she could love and trust and enjoy, and also one planned family pizza night. We also made sure that she had some time to reset where she would work on her literature because she also writes books for a living. And she got her life back by having a calendar that fueled her decisions. This allowed her to go out more often. She could meet her book club and actually have the foods that she wanted at the restaurant as opposed to binging and restricting. Her husband even said that the best compliment was that her husband loved her no matter what size she was. What she was proudest of from getting into this program was this was the calmest version of her he has ever seen. That's the piece I want for every single one of you, and that what we give to our clients who lean in. You've lived a chaotic life that has probably brought you to bariatric surgery. You are probably managing the chaos as best you can right now in your life, hoping that something changes. And when you get your calendar together and get with people who understand the importance of it, what changes is the results. It all locks into place, it all comes together, and you realize that you can do this. Not for 30 days like every other program, but for the rest of your life, even if you walk away from this workshop and do nothing else. Whoop. So again, I know I've talked a lot and I know this is everything, but to recap tonight, we covered the muscle priority protocol. We covered how to train so you rebuild. Why does it keep switching? We covered the muscle priority protocol. We went over how giving your body a reason to use the food is going to work. We went over how to reverse the food amount so that you can start to eat more and have a body that you love, and how we can weekend proof your schedule so that you are living a lifestyle that you can be proud of. Here's the problem though. If you run this system in the wrong order, you're probably going to regain weight. If you skip one, you're probably going to quit. If you're like, well, I really like lifting, but I'm not touching my food, you're going to continue to train for muscle, but you're going to probably end up regaining and getting that weird, bulky, awkward of, I feel bigger because my muscles have been working, but I don't look any smaller. Without the calories being in the right place, the training is going to break you down faster than it's going to build you up. If you're like, you know what, I don't feel like going to the gym and I just want to try to reverse the calories anyway, you're going to regain faster because your body's saying, like, look, I get you're giving me more sources of fuel and energy. I don't have a place to burn this off anywhere. So I'm just going to stockpile it. If you do both but skip the calendar, you're going to quit by week 3. I got to tell you, it's why every challenge I ever see online, even the ones that I run once a year as an April Fool's gag, shows that nobody actually survives the challenge. At best, they white knuckle their way through. And even if we gave you a laptop computer for running this on 30 days, even the person who gets the laptop, studies have shown, once they get to like 10 days after the laptop arrives, they stop doing all the work. You don't need another fad diet. You don't need another 30-day burn blast camp. You don't need another bet step challenge that's going to keep you exhausted to win like $10 that you should have probably just used on a cup of coffee or a protein shake. We give you the keys to run in order to get the results that you can have for the rest of your life to live the life that you never imagined. That's essentially what we offer in our busy method. Three keys, one system built for the body that you have right now. I get it. We all have the same 24 hours because that's how math in a calendar works. Some of us have kids. Some of us have a different job. Some of us have different relationships with food, training in your own body. At the end of the day, it works for people who are willing to lean in and ask for help along the way. Here's where it gets a little awkward if you're still listening or paying attention. And if you are, drop a one, just so I have an idea of who's still here and who walked away from their phone and is like, well, eventually he'll kick me off when we're done because we're at the 8:11 minute mark. Nicole, thank you. Shaquilla, thank you. Linda, yes. Shannon, Roxanne, thanks for the thumbs up. iPhone, Jenny, perfect. Jessica, Diane, good. You're all still here. Here's the problem now that I see you're all here. We're at a tough spot. I've given you the information at this point. Now you're kind of stuck with like, now that we have the knowledge, what do we do with it? You're either going to be and if you're the kind of woman who's willing to do what it takes to get this right, you know that something has to change right now. And that's really what I want to go through. Quick recap of what we covered tonight. We covered the muscle priority protocol. We covered how to train so you rebuild the muscle your first year post-op that quietly got stripped away. We're going to build the muscle that actually runs your metabolism. Then we went through the reverse restriction method. We went over how to bring your food back up instead of cutting it down so your body stops fighting you and finally lets the weight go. And the weekend proof calendar code. We taught you how to build a week that survives Thursday night through Sunday so you stop undoing 5 days of work in two. That's the system, and that's what the busy method is built on. So, quick transition before we go, because now that I know you're all still here, I'm going to put you a little bit on the spot. Was like the last, we're at an hour and 13 minutes. Was this worth your time tonight? Like, did you at least learn something, walk away, get a better idea of like why you're either stuck or doing it? Love, Jess, that I saw a thumbs up. Roxanne, I appreciate the nods. Dana, I'm seeing a good yes. Linda, yes. Megan, Shannon, awesome. Jenny, everyone's there. Awesome. And now, really, like, we kind of have to go like we're at a split juncture right now. From here, you really have two paths, and both are real. Like, I'm not going to be the person who sits here and tells you, like, this doesn't work without us. But I want you to pick the one that's actually going to fit for your life and for your lifestyle. So, path one is the do it yourself path. You can absolutely take the three keys I just gave you and you go build the whole thing yourself. You research the progressive overload templates, you build your own log, you figure out your protein floor, you reverse your own calories 100 at a time. You build the weekly layout, you run the Sunday reset, you troubleshoot your own stalls, you sort through every contradictory piece of bariatric advice on the internet, and decide what applies to you. It is totally possible. And I want to be honest about that because we have hundreds of podcast listeners and email subscribers who tell me that I listen to the podcast, I read the emails, I take the recipes that you give me from the email list and I cook them, and I do the workouts that I found on your YouTube page, and I'm getting good results. That's the point I want to give you of you can do all of this yourself, and you're absolutely more than capable. It is possible. It's also the same road that you may have been on for the last year or two. If you're in this workshop and you're still on this workshop because that road brought you here and here is not where you want to be. Path two is what we do at Busy Bariatrics. We would do a 6 month done for you program where we build the entire system for your body, your life, your calendar, your history with food, and your post op physiology. My team and I have all had bariatric surgery ourselves, and that's something I'm very proud of. We know the mindset traps that you're dealing with. We know the nighttime food noise. We know what it's like to stand in a gym for the first time post op, convinced everyone is watching you. On path two, you don't actually build the system alone. You run the system that we have already built. Both paths are real. Both paths work, and I want you to pick the one that actually fits your life. So to give you an idea of like what path two actually is, this is our 6 month coaching program. It's 6 months because that's probably the minimum window to get all three of these keys running. And if I told you it took any less, I have to be honest, I'd probably be disingenuous. This is from coaching hundreds of bariatric patients and knowing what it takes to get the results that you all desire for the rest of your life. So if you're looking for a 30-day fix, if you're looking for like a 3 month fix, this probably isn't the program with you because we have to do the deep lasting change work that probably takes even longer than 6 months. But inside, what the program actually does, past the programming and check ins. After 6 months in the Busy Bariatrics program, you don't just have the muscle and all the food down it. You become the woman who is not living in fear of the scale anymore. You stop white knuckling every weekend and bracing for the regain you've been told is coming. You stop restarting on Monday because you never fell off in the first place. We help you become the woman who lives, not the woman who lost weight and spends every day terrified of gaining it back. We turn you into the woman who walks into the gym like she belongs there, not because they need to be there, but because you deserve and desire to be. That's who you become. The deliverables are just how we get. So again, like I have to be honest with this. I'd rather keep my roster clean with the right women than fill it with the wrong ones. And I even met with two in the last 2 days that were really just not the right fit. If they've tried all the magic pills and wanted to be able to just try it for a month, this really isn't a 30-day fix or a magic pill or someone who wants to do the lifting and eating for you. If you're also someone who is sitting there and you're like, look, I know what I'm doing. I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to try this. And you're like, look, I'm only going to run one of these keys. It's probably not going to be the right fit for you. If you are not in a place where you can do the work consistently, meaning that you're not even willing to adjust your calendar or change some of the chaos that we help you sort through, it's probably not going to work. And unfortunately, I do see this when I meet with potential clients is this idea that like, well, I have this chaos in my life and it's a system that works for me. Or I have a workout split and it's what works for me. Or these are the foods I like and I'm a picky eater. I'm not saying you have to completely open up your palate, but if you're not willing to change anything, why are you working with someone who's going to generate that change? So again, there's no judgment on that, but if you're someone who's not willing to make the changes and commit to working on it, there's no point on booking a call or even doing the metabolic assessment because ultimately I'm going to give you the exact change frameworks. And if you're not willing to commit to making those changes, it really doesn't matter and it's not useful for either one of us. So, before I show you any of the bonuses tonight, I want to ground you back into what is actually possible here. And I want to go back to Tarot. Tarot's that mom of seven I keep telling you about. She's homeschooling all of her kids. Also, one of her children is very much limited and needs a lot of individualized attention and medical bills that come in with that. She was 8 months post op and convinced she was going to be the cautionary tale in her support group. She lost over 100 pounds with us, kept every kid homeschooled, and her husband started calling her that lifter girl and even said she's calmer than she ever was before. The part that still gets me is, though, we did that by getting her to eat more, not by eating less. Then Lisa, she thought she was done losing weight, eating under 1,000 calories, stuck for 2 years. We put muscle first and brought her food up, and the scale finally moved. Her words was she was eating more than she had in 2 years, and the weight was finally coming off. Again, these women aren't outliers. This is the standard outcome when the system gets run properly with the right support, which brings me to what I want to offer you tonight specifically. If you are on this call and you are still like, you know what, I've listened to everything, this is all for you, I want to do the busy starter audit with you. This is the metabolic assessment that also gives the $150 value just for being here live and staying tonight. It's a 30-minute metabolic and calendar assessment I walk you through personally. We look at where your protein is, where your calories are, what your training week looks like, and we pull the three highest leverage fixes you can make in the next 72 hours, whether or not you ever hire me. The second bonus is we're going to give you the 90-day busy launch kit. It's roughly valued at about $494 if you book your assessment call in the next 48 hours. Not a sign up, just book the call. It's the exact weekly calendar templates, decision lists, and Sunday reset my program clients run, plus my no cook cookbook. Everything ready to plug in on day one. The starter audit's yours just for being here live. The launch kit is only for the women who book in the next 48 hours. After that window closes, the kit goes away. So here's something that most coaches will not tell you about a call like this if you're still curious about it. There's no version of this call where I drag you through a high pressure pitch. I've personally hated it when every coach has done it to me, and that is not how I work. It's not how I make you make a real decision about your body anyway. Here's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to fill out the form. I'm going to go over your data, and we're going to get on a Zoom call for about 30 to 45 minutes because I'm a talker. I'm going to ask you about where you are right now, what you've already tried, and what's actually getting in the way. Then, based on all the data you've given me, I'm going to give you your three highest leverage fixes for your body specifically, whether or not you ever work with me. Then, one of two things is going to happen. We're either going to agree that this program is the right next step, and I'm going to walk you through how it works and what the investment looks like, or you're going to be like, it's not a fit. And I will tell you that to your face and point you somewhere better. I actually had to do that today on a call with someone because I realized that like they are still trying to just like buy supplements out the wazoo. They were going to run it for 30 days and they said, you know what? I think if after 30 days I want to be able to quit, I said, if that's still the mindset you're in, you're really not built and ready for this program. And that's okay. You need to find one that does. But also, she had admitted she tried seven other programs that were 30 days and it still didn't work. That's kind of the person I am. And Stacy can tell you from being a client, and I know Linda is on here. I tell you the information that you need to hear, not what you want to hear. And if that upsets you, totally fine. We can separate ways and you will never hear from me again. And I hope that maybe if you come around, you message me, but even no, just know that I gave you the piece of advice that I would give anyone else that's here. So as we finish up, you need to understand that the only women I want on the assessment call are post-op women who are serious about not becoming a regained statistic and ready to do the work to keep the weight off for good. If that's you, here is exactly how to book. I take a limited number of new clients each month because every plan I build is custom and I refuse to water down the access I promise. When this month's assessment slots are full, the next opening isn't coming till I believe August 20th, I want to say. Stacy will probably confirm that with a thumbs up, like around August in the 20s, but I don't have my calendar up for this. So, if you are someone who's like, I really want to make the strategy call to see if this works for me, and I have at least $150 I can commit to a month, I want you to do the following for me. I want you to text the term busy to 856-702-3483. That is my number so I can start to look at it. And yes, it's my business number so that like if you are watching this live and you are in Tahiti somewhere, you're not texting me at 3 in the morning. It'll go through this. But if you're ready to book this call, and you're a post-op woman who's ready for the last program you will ever need, if you are like Nichelle, who went through the entire 90-minute call with me and realized this is the last piece I need to stop the binge and restrict cycle, eat more, and lose weight, now is the time to do this. I do have very limited available slots, even for the strategy calls. To give you an example, we have clients coming in this weekend because we have clients from all over the East Coast and the country. And we have a couple who are coming in to lift in person and for me to help do their calendar in person to put it together to make it work for them. That's the sort of coach you have who opens up his doors, but also holds his boundaries. So if you want to book the call, I would say message me now before the spots run out. But there is availability to meet as soon as tonight, tomorrow, or sometime over the weekend in between those calls and then on Monday. And it doesn't close Saturday, 7-11. We're going to look at it we're going to say that if you book within 48 hours of now, that takes us to like August 1st, 8:30 is when we'll shut this off. So with that, we've got two options to go. If you've already gotten it and you're ready and you've texted busy, I see a couple of you have, and I'm very excited. I will message you at the end of the call to set up the rest of it, where Stacy will back end right now and start to set up that she's gotten your message through. Message away. If you just have questions on how to run this yourself or any questions about it, I'm going to stop the recording now and give us some time for it. I'm seeing a couple buzzes on my watch. So again, take your phone out right now. If you're still on the call, text the word busy if you want to talk. My team will personally text you back within 24 hours to confirm your spot and send you your calendar link. And if you can't text right now, just drop the word busy in the chat and Stacy will reach out to you and set up a call as well. Bola, I'm going to stop the recording and we'll go over that. But to give you an idea, we have programs that work at each level. So let me finish the recording.